Hello, and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Friday, April 16th, and this is episode 293. I am Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. So, administrative. If you see me look a little funny today, I always look a little funny, but if you see my eyes wander like this a little bit today, please be patient with me. I have a new camera set up, and so it's a little bit different. I'm like looking at a different place, and so it's just a little bit get used to. And so hopefully everything will work out well. But we'll see. But so that's what's going on. If you see my eyes wander a bit, it's because where I can see myself is this way, but you are this way. You're welcome to tea. I am having organic peach cobbler with a splash of milk. It is actually quite delicious and enjoyable. We don't have any baked goods. Such a bad hostess. But we have knitted friends, so and also a house that's messy enough that you don't feel obligated to like clean when I come over. So you're welcome. Just saying. It's been a long time since we talked last. Sometimes it's hard to record. But I want to talk with you. So I am going to talk to you from a bubble today. I'm just going to talk to you from inside the house today. Because I don't think I can do anything else. Yeah. Okay. From inside the house. I've had a lovely few weeks in terms of like energy, and it's been sunny and like the perfect amount of warm where you still get to wear a sweater, but you can also like go outside without dying. And we've got tomatoes started and cucumbers started, and we have way too many tomato starts. This always happens. Whenever I'm like, I'm going to scale down, it just doesn't happen that way. 8 million tomato starts. But we've got tomato starts and cucumber starts, and what else? And then the teen planted some flowers like to get started inside, a few of the ones that need a little bit of an extra boost. So those are going. But yeah, potatoes are in the ground. I tried to plant a couple rows of lettuce, but like it's just not coming up. So my seed is kind of ancient. It may be like 7 years old. So maybe it's a little too old. Whatever. So I might need to plant a few more rows with something else. We'll see what happens. Or it may just be too dry. I don't know. But neither here nor there. What else? Oh my gosh. So crazy news in terms of like, okay, this is outside the house. So last week, I think, whatever, since we've talked. It's like the kids' third day back to full-time school. So full-time in person. It's the first time they've been full-time in person since before spring break of last year. They're not super jazzed about it, but they are more jazzed about that than staying at home. So, there's like this weird, like, like trying to like navigate this space. And so it's time for the team to come home, and I hear, we may have a problem from outside the door. Like when it's time for the team to come in from the bus, right? Like they are standing on the door. I'm in the other room, and all I hear is, we may have a problem. And I'm like, your brain just immediately, like, what do you mean we have a problem? Like, did the roof of the porch fall in and I didn't hear it? Did like one of the columns of the porch fall over and I didn't hear it? Did you break your arm and I didn't know? Like you just like fell off the bus? Then proceeds to walk in my front door holding a possum. An opossum. A full, live, quite large opossum in the arms of the teen. So I will say this, there's a moment of relief that like nothing horrid has happened, but followed very quickly by, get out of the house! We have 2 dogs. Luckily, I don't think the dogs have any idea what a possum is because they did not seem to react at all to the to the possum in the front room. They were surprisingly chill about the possum. So everybody's scrambling to like figure out what to do with a wounded possum. The possum was in the middle of we live off of a very busy street, and then our street is just like a moderately side street, but there is an industrial or like a factory place, so like it does get a decent amount of traffic, but it's just like it's like there's no lines on the street. It's a side street. So the possum was in the middle of this road, and the teen tried to shoo it off the road, tried to shoo it to the side just to keep it, get it out of danger. But the possum was wounded. It had a back leg that seems to have been broken. And then upon further investigation, had a pretty decent sized wound in its side. So clearly the decision was made to pick the possum up and bring it home. There was a long sleeve hooded sweatshirt, so there was protection involved to some extent. If I had been out there, I would have never let the child pick the possum up. Never. and I think they knew that, so they just went ahead and did it anyway. So then they're scrambling in the house to figure out what to do with a wounded possum. There's many text messages sent to different rehab centers who did not have room at the inn for a wounded possum. Finally, we find a place that is accepting wounded possums. Of course, it's like an hour away. It's on the other side of Martinsville, it was about an hour. Like when we turned onto this person's street, there was like a covered buggy crossing sign. Like it was out there. We were out there. But I mean, you are taking a possum to somebody, so they kind of expect it to be out there. So, like, kudos to this possum, by the way. This possum was very chill. Apparently it was quite not okay. But it was not at all, it did not try to scratch or bite or even hiss. It let the teen pick it up. We had got it in a box until we figured out where we were going with it. And then I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to drive an hour with this possum. And the teen's like, okay, I'll hold it. And I'm like, I don't need to be that news story. I don't need to be, I don't need to have the possum like get a second wind in my car and like just go bonko. Because that's of course all I could see. It's like the possum is playing possum. It's not actually playing dead, but it's just pretending like it's sicker than it is, and then it's just gonna like be like, oh no, never mind, and it's gonna freak out. Because that's what happens in my head. But we had a dog crate that we were able to put it in the dog crate. And I say I didn't do anything. I did not touch the possum. I know possums are really cool. Like their body temperatures are low enough that they don't incubate rabies. They eat a bunch of ticks, so they're really helpful in preventing Lyme disease. They're actually really cool creatures that just like look kind of creepy. because their jaws are like very triangular, like they're very like crocodile-y alligator, like their jaws are very triangular, and they like the cut in them goes way back, and apparently they have more teeth. Is this a fun fact that we learned that they have more teeth than any other mammal? I might be making that up, but they have more teeth than something. Anyway, so they look really threatening, that's their jam, right? Like that's one of their defense mechanisms, is that they look really scary and they'll hiss at you, and they look like they're going to just come at you. So they hiss at you. I've been hissed at by a possum in our backyard, and I was not excited about that option. But then they'll play dead, apparently. I don't know. I've never gotten to that part. I've just been hissed at and then been like, feel free to continue roaming in my yard. I'll see you another day. But hopefully not. But anyway, so they kind of like have a bad rep, you know? They're just kind of like, and in fact, we read so much about possums. And it says that things like, you know, they actually are very, it's not likely that they'll kill chickens or anything. Lots of times they're blamed. Now, they didn't say about eggs, but I think that was conveniently left out. But they often don't knock over trash cans and stuff because they're not really like strong enough, but they will, they will clean up after other animals that do, which I thought was very cute. So apparently raccoons, which are super cute, are really the jerks of your, suburban-y, urban-y landscapes, and possums are the much maligned hero, which, you know, gotta love an underdog, right? An under opossum. So we drive out into the middle of nowhere with an opossum in the back of my car. It didn't make any sound, and I was like, oh Lord, this poor little opossum has probably passed on, and I'm going to drive up and deliver this woman a dead opossum. But no, he made it. And by the way, I don't know, there were no babies. And, but to be honest with you, I did not really get that. Again, I did not touch the possum. I was just into transport. That was my job, was logistics and transport. I was hands off on the opossum duty. But we got it to the lady, and I paid her to take my opossum away from me. She did not ask for a donation. But I was happy that I did not have to figure out how to, you know, splint an opossum or, you know, put an opossum out of its misery or any of those things. So I was quite happy to pay her for an opossum rehoming fee. And unfortunately, we did find out later that the opossum did not make it, because apparently the wound that was in its side was quite severe, and it probably had already lost a lot of blood when the teen found it. It probably had actually maybe been attacked by something and then wandered into the street just because it was like disoriented. And that's probably also why it did not try to defend itself in any way. It's because it was near to be going on. But it got a good meal, and it had pain medication when it went, so it wasn't in pain. If we would have left it here, it would have been torn up by something else, or it would have been molested in a way that would have not, you know, a cat would have played with it or something, you know. So I'm very glad that we took care of the opossum. I would have been more glad if I didn't know the opossum was wounded and like had not just even been brought into the opossum's drama, but that's okay. It was a very good bonding experience, and you know, that's worth the drive and the dollars. When you have a 14-year-old, you will take your bonding experiences where you can get them. That's all I'm saying. Oh my gosh, right. So that was a big to-do that we possum rescue. Wait, I do have a picture. I didn't take many pictures because I'm the worst. But like, look at this. Oh, sorry, I'm forgetting where the thing is. Like, how sweet. Did you just see me be like, oh my gosh, I can't show you what's on my picture roll because clearly there's pictures of my boobs. There's pictures of crochet and my pants that I just made in the screen door. That's all you would see be super exciting. I did make some new pants. I'm not going to show them today because they're not clean, and I've worn them all to pant. I've worn the pants off of them. But I made a wearable muslin of the So Liberated Arthur pants, which are like these. Okay, these pants are cuckoo cuckoo, by the way. They are so enjoyable. I don't know that I am ever going to. I think I will make another pair. Like, I think I will make a pair that it's not made out of flannel with gnomes on it, because the pair I made might have been made out of flannel with gnomes on them. Full disclosure, it was on sale for $2 at Joann's. That's a very good wearable muslin fabric for pants. Oh, it's not in this file. Oh, I'm the worst. Anyway. But they are like what I think we call balloon pants. But as a child of the 80s, 90s, they definitely have an MC Hammer like vibe. Like, look at this. This is the picture of the model. Like, doesn't she look cute and charming? My pants don't look like that. I think also my pants were a softer fabric, so they do not like... you don't get that outline, that outside profile line on my pants. They are like swishier. So you get more of this. Like, this is more of the texture of the fabric that I used. But I also didn't shorten them until after I put them on. So like they're more open. The bell is like less defined. So I think I'm going to just try them again though. I think I will try them again, because I will tell you this. Well, I do feel like they're a little extra. I mean, hi. Nothing could be as extra as the wearer. Well, I do feel like they're a little bit extra. They are so comfy. It's ridiculous. It's like wearing a skirt, but with like complete thigh separation. I've gotten to this place where I really love to wear pants that come up to my bra line. What's going on? Who am I? Okay, so here, medical overshare. Medical overshare. After my surgery, I had surgery at the very end of 2019. I had a full hysterectomy, but then I also had an appendectomy and an omenectomy. Oh, wait, and they don't include I had all of my lady organs removed because they don't include your ovaries in that one, but whatever. I had a debulking surgery. I'm still quite bulky. I had debulking surgery in which they found cancer during what they thought was going to be just like a routine ovarian cyst removal. Well, not exactly routine, but you know what I mean. We won't go into total medical overshare. But so when they find cancer like that, they want to take out your appendix, because that's one of the ways they can tell if the cancer has come from like your colon or your intestines. And it's also like just like a place apparently where cancer just loves to grow. And then your omentum, which is like the kind of, it's like a sheet of like connective tissue or fat that lies over your intestines. But anyway, that scar is like a vertical scar that's like almost from my belly button to like, I don't know, this far below my breastbone. So it's a pretty big vertical scar. And when you have that surgery, you're at very high, and you're fatty, you're at a very high risk for having a abdominal, it's not in my brain. What's the thing that all old men have? Like if they were in the war, they wore a truss for hernia. Oh my gosh. My word usage, like my words traveling from my brain to my mouth have been a little bit confused lately. So I have a hernia, but it's like not in my groin like an old man. I say old man because like every war movie where there's like some crusty dude, that's where you hear about a guy having a hernia. And it's always men. Well, no. I've got a lady hernia, and It's actually a totally unisex hernia. But it's in like my abdomen. So I have become a bit, I don't want to say self-conscious. I guess it is self-conscious. I am like aware of this like rather large lump. By the way, so fun to have a large lump in your abdomen after you've been diagnosed with cancer. So fun. A little bit stressful. But I know now that that's not what it is. But in the meantime, it was a little stressful. But I think because of it, like I like to have a little, like it doesn't hurt me at all. It is not in any way painful. I don't even think it's uncomfortable in my physical body. It's not uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable in my brain. Do you know what I mean? Because I am aware of it. And it is a pretty big change to my physical self that I have not quite gotten used to yet. Because it's just kind of happened within about a year of, not even a year. It's not even been a whole year, I don't think. Oh, I don't even know anymore. Whatever. No, it hasn't because it wasn't there last summer. And I don't know, maybe because of that, I don't know. I really am digging the pants that sit high, like ultra high rise, like under my boobs. And these pants do that. And then they're also big and flowy. And they just feel like, I don't know, they're very enjoyable to wear. They're a little extra. But, hi, I'm just advertising the goods. I'm a little extra. And so don't worry about me. I'm fine. It's not anything that needs a medical treatment or anything like that at this point. People in the histories had them forever and left them untreated. So, and it's like a really common thing to happen, but it is something that's new to me and I'm still getting used to. So when I say self-conscious, I don't want you to think I'm like, oh, people are looking at me. That's not what I mean when I just mean that I am very aware of it on my body. When I'm getting dressed, but really after I get dressed, I don't really, sometimes during the day I do, whatever. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not worried about what other people are thinking about it at all because one of the benefits of being a fat lumpy lady, nobody's going to be like, I sense that there is a slight extra lump. Nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to worry about it. So I'm not worried about what other people are thinking. It's just something that I am aware of. And I think because of that, I'm like, where was I going with this overshare? I think because of that, I'm liking the way that pants feel. It makes me just feel a little bit more secure. Right? Just a little bit more secure. Not like they're offering compression or anything. Just more secure. So yeah, I'm enjoying the ultra high-waisted pants, and those Arthur pants are enjoyable. So I don't know, I think I'm going to make a pair that is a little bit stiffer maybe in the fabric, just to see what it would look like if that curve were slightly more defined and less just again, I feel like those hammer pants were like made of a rayon or something. They were very swishy. And so maybe that would make me feel more like it was a balloon pant and not I found these pants from the way back times. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So yeah, that's definitely on my list. And then I made another pair of overalls. I made another pair of Otis overalls, and I made them out of a khaki cotton ripstop, and I'm very pleased with them. I raised the rise. I think so. I cut 2 inches off essentially of the top of the pants from where they connect to the body or to the bib. And they do offer a much nicer fit for me in terms of for summer wear when you're gonna be sweatier and stuff. It does make them slightly more to get over the head because there's less room between like the crotch seam and the top of the strap, but they're still very doable. If I wanted to make them any snugger, I would definitely need to put either elastic in the strapping or put like a dungaree buckle on them, which you could totally do. I just haven't. But so yeah, I made another pair of those, which was very exciting. I'll show you sewing next time. Things have been a little bit lately. And so I'm not quite together with my clean laundry and things to show you today. But maybe next time I will be more together next time. Speaking of being more together next time, I will also have your Patreon prizes next time. I don't have them today. I had an idea for a prize for you, but then I feel like it's going to work better for something else. So I have to make a different prize for you. Well, maybe I'll make that for you. Oh, that just occurred to me. That might not be a bad idea. Okay, but neither here nor there. I will have prizes for you next time. Locking it in. Gonna have them. Oh, I'm wearing a sweater. It's handmade. Last time I got several folks who asked, and it's also not buttoned correctly at all. I'm the only one here, y'all. The dogs don't care. Okay, so last time several folks asked me about my crocheted sweater, and it is primarily self-drafted, but it is based on a pattern called a good vintage cardigan. But that pattern only goes up to like, I don't know, a 13-inch bust. That's not a thing. But it doesn't go up anywhere near my bust size. So I kind of ended up winging it mostly anyway. But that's what that was. And it's hand spun and lots of other good stuff. It's mentioned on other episodes. And in fact, I have a bonus episode all about it. If you're interested in learning more about my good vintage cardigan, I'll put that as a note to myself to link the video I did about my cardigan. This is a cardigan knit with Barrett wools, Wisconsin woolen fingering weight. And I don't know what it's called, but I might have there might be a project page, but I don't hold me to that at all. But it's another one that is a bit modified because it's like a cropped with a 3/4 inch, 3/4 sleeve. So it also is a bit modified, but I'll put the name in the notes because I don't want to stop. I should have found that out before I talked to you. Thank you for being patient with me. It's not like I've done this 292 other times. But it's one of my favorites. I love this fingering and sport weight cardigans, y'all. I don't love that they take forever to make, but I do love wearing them. I'm almost ready to just clear out everything else. It's true. If I do that, I will definitely tell y'all. And then, like, if any of my fat brethren would like to have a hand-me-down cardigan that is still in obviously good condition, or a sweater, we'll figure something out. In case I can't make the pool party happen. I need to make the pool party happen, though. Speaking of pool parties, no, that's not a pool party thing. Let's not talk about that. I've got like a bee in my bonnet that we need to go on a family vacation because we've never actually gone on like a big family vacation. Like we've never gone, like the longest family vacation we've taken is like 4 days camping within the state. So suddenly I was like, we must go to Yellowstone. Like everything in Yellowstone is booked. Well, everything cause like my thought was like, oh, we would fly cause it's very far for us. My thought was like, You can rent RVs like through Outdoorsy. We've never done it, but it's an option. And like you could have the people like actually take it to where you're camping so that you literally just almost utilize it as like a hotel. Because obviously we were like flying, and like the renting of a car that we could somehow tow something with is a little bit complicated. You can totally do it, but it's just a little bit more complicated. Plus there's like extra insurance, whatever. My thought was that that would be delicious, right? That we could just like, because we could have the enjoyment of camping, which I love, but like also because it is a very different place for us, and like who knows what the weather will be and all of that stuff. And also like we can't like take our car camping gear. Like we would have to like backpack camp almost. And quite frankly, I don't want to sleep for a week on like a sleeping pad that's this big. I don't think it's gonna make me a nice person. I guess I have to admit that that's not who I am right now. But so we can't like theoretically we could mail all of our cart camping stuff out there, but then I think that would be like $1 billion. Well, it would just be like our tents and our air mattresses, but still our tent and our air mattresses, whatever, that's still on the table. But the romantic idea was that we would like rent an RV on a campsite. We would go out there, which we could still do. There are options. And then like, wouldn't that be fun? And I don't know why I thought like that would be a possibility. Everything's booked. Everything that's not like a $350 chalet is booked a night. That's out of my budget. What was I thinking? I mean, I should know better. Like, I can't even really get a good campsite around here on super short notice. Like, this is Yellowstone. Hi. There are options. We're not like bereft of options. There are options. They're just they're not perfect. Not that they would be perfect, but you know what I mean? They're slightly less perfect. They involve more driving, like on a day-to-day basis, like to get to parks and to like go see things, which might be fine. Because I mean, it's such a part of the reason I want to go is because I've never been west of Washington, Illinois. Thank you, Paula. I've never been west of Washington, Illinois. I don't think. I mean, maybe like when I had a layover at some point when I was younger, but not for reals. So I've never seen like sharp mountains. I've never seen rocky, like non-grassy mountains on tree mountains. I've never seen something above like a tree line. Maybe in the Smokies, but I don't remember. If I did, it was not the same thing. I've never seen big sharp mountains like on a plane where it's like bam. That would be exciting. And of course, that means my teen hasn't either. My husband has. He was a vagabond in the olden days. But anyway, so I was like, I just want to be in a different place. I got that bug and like that bee in my bonnet. I'm just like, it just needs to be very different. But it's a little bit challenging. Also go to like South Dakota. That would be a very different looking thing. And that would be definitely an option too. Although who knows? I think there's probably more options in South Dakota. Because if nothing else, like there's just more places. Like there's more empty space. Oh my goodness. Part of me is like, am I brave enough to be a person who's like, whatever. We'll rent, like, cause you can rent people's like, the world is so fun. And the internets are terrible, and they're also lovely because you can rent like people's like 4x4 trucks that have like the pop-up campers that's like in the truck bed, and so then you like you just like can go, what? That's so fun. Am I that sassy? I'm not sure, but I should just get sassy because like when else am I gonna get to go to Montana? Else would that happen? I'd just be dirty for a week. Whatever. I can pee in the woods. I'm fine. whatever. We have to figure it out. Just sit down as a family and make the decision. Because otherwise I'll just do something crazy if I'm left to my own devices. So that's been like occupying a lot of headspace. They do say that it's actually very good for your health to just plan a vacation, even if you don't take it. That it's very good for your mental health. But I think eventually you do have to take the vacation, even if it's not necessarily the one you planned. I do think you do need some point to take a vacation. So that's been lovely. The possums have been lovely. Sewing has been lovely. Been a lot of unlovely stuff, but those are the lovely things. Also, I took a screen printing class. The beginning of the year, I've been wanting to do some fabric art, like for bags. Basically, I'm really looking to try to just diversify my workflow a little bit more, so that it's not quite as monotonous. Having done this for like almost 10 years now, is that possible? It is monotonous. Like, the sewing aspect of my job is monotonous, and I am very appreciative of it. I'm very grateful for it, but I do need to diversify my work day a little bit more. So one of the things I've been wanting to do forever is learn to either do some screen printing or do some stamping. Stamping sounds like I'm gonna just, you know what I mean, like linoleum block printing. And just to do a little bit more creative stuff with fabrics and things like that. So I found that there was a screen printing class at a local place, and I was just like, what? That came out of nowhere. I had no idea that this place existed in Indianapolis, and that they were giving classes was super exciting. So I signed up for a class. I was all jazzed about it. And then I found out like 2 days before the class that it was a one-on-one class, and I almost like freaked out and didn't go. Because I don't know anything about the instructor. I don't know. The instructor had a gender neutral name, so I wasn't even like, not that I would automatically be like, but I would be more comfortable knowing it was another woman, just because like there's like a baseline of understanding. Not that I would be like, oh, I can't take a class from a man. That's not what I mean at all. But just like, it would have been less stressful for me if I would have known. But anyway, so I almost freaked out and didn't go, but I'm so glad I did. It was a beautiful experience. Well, beautiful is a little bit of a strange way to say it, but it was an awesome experience. I learned so much about screen printing. I am such a noob. Like I am so not an interesting human when it comes to knowing things about art. But I did not know like the versatility of screen printing. I had no idea. Like I just hear screen printing and I think of people making t-shirts. I knew that that's not all you could do with it, obviously, because I was interested in it and I'm not interested in making t-shirts. But I really had no idea like the breadth of expression that could be created through the screen printing process. Like I had no idea. It was so interesting. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And definitely like I'm usually a person who's like, I'll just learn anything from YouTube. Like that's usually my jam. I definitely enjoy taking classes when I go to retreats and things like that. But in general, I'm happy to learn just about anything in some sort of online class. But this, for some reason, that whole aspect, printing, whether it be through block printing or screen printing or whatever, I think because the art aspect of it is intimidating to me, and then you add on the like actual like technical aspect of it, it's like too overwhelming, and I just I've not allowed myself to like kind of explore in any way. Like, and I don't know, for some reason it's like I don't feel like I can like just, well, hello, that's just my brain. But like I don't know how to start in a small way. It feels like I need to just be like on and do like go just immediately do a giant process, which is not what I need to do at all. But that's subconsciously, I think, what's happening in my brain. So it was wonderful to be able to take a class because, again, especially with screen printing, when there is specialized equipment, you can do screen printing without specialized equipment. Like you can do, there's a huge, just like most crafts, in arts, there's a huge range of like startups. You know, like you can do something super duper basic, or you can go like whole hog. But it was really nice to be able to just to have use of equipment and things like that and not worry about like, oh, did I pay for this? Am I never going to use it again? You know, and again, obviously having an instructor and it being one-on-one was great. It was a little intimidating, but she was magnificent. She was awesome. I highly recommend it if you're in Indianapolis or Indiana. Cathead Press was a great class. I recommend whether it's one-on-one or in a traditional group class. I was like, oh, if I had known it was one-on-one, I could have like brought my husband. I mean, obviously we would have both paid for it. And like, wouldn't that have been a cute date? That would have been so cute. We don't do cute stuff together. We're terrible. But I had a very enjoyable time on my own. And this is what I made. Look, I didn't like, again, art, like the actual artistic part of art is not my jam. I am like the craft part of art. I enjoy making, I enjoy the creation, I enjoy that. But the reason I like knitting so much is it provides this like kind of like parameters within to which to be creative. It's not just like a totally open field, which is very intimidating to me. So this was just like, she was like, just draw something. And she gave me the parameters in terms of like, you know, what screen printing was and what was going to happen. But it was just like, okay, and now make something that you're going to make a screen print of. And I was like, but I'm very pleased. Oh, look at my little thing. How cute is it? Right. So it's like a 2-step process where you do 1 color and 2 colors. She said I could do up to 3, but I got intimidated and I couldn't do it. And then look at this one. This one is fun. I did this one on black paper. Whoa, what's happening? Right? How fun is that? It was highly enjoyable. I made more prints than just 2, but like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but it was very enjoyable. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt very fancy in my one-on-one class. It's like, this is the way to go. Because I mean, really, like I could go back and be like, I need to have, because I always feel like a jerk in regular classes because I am so extra that I have to ask like 900. Okay, don't ask 900 questions. I want to ask 900 questions, but I do ask like 450. And so sometimes all the time I'm a little extra too much. So it's really nice to be one-on-one because then I could just ask whatever I wanted. And I didn't feel like I was monopolizing time. Because I was. Because it was mine. It was awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think that's all. Oh, but one of the things I really did enjoy about the screen printing is that like I could see really getting into that because in this situation, like they have a studio where they have equipment. They also rent like studio space to artists, but there is kind of like a communal workspace where you can just like come in and rent like open studio hours so that you can like use their equipment and things like that if you want to. And I'm like, I could really see how this is like an excellent artistic process for somebody who's introverted because you get to do like the like thinky, like, well, you get to do a lot of like the thinky creative part by yourself. And so like you can just like work all that out, but then you can do the production part, like the kind of monotonous or the potentially monotonous, mechanical parts of it in like a group atmosphere where, you know, there weren't like a bunch of people, there was like just me and this lady, but you know what I mean? Like you could do that and still have like some sort of social interaction and some sort of community. And I was like, that's a really awesome option for an artist. Do you know what I mean? Like, cause like, you know, if you're learning to throw ceramics or whatever, you pretty much got to do most of it there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's where the stuff is. And so that's probably going to be with other humans. And if you're introverted and you're like intimidated by making, like creating something around other people, that can be like, for me, that would be a big hurdle. But this is like a great combination of again, that like privacy, like where you can just go home, work on your thing, like on your own, in your own time and place. And then like, oh, I got it all worked out, or, you know, I've got most of it worked out. I'm going to take my drawings in, I'm going to make my screens, I'm going to print and all that and then like there will be folks around, and maybe, you know, there'll be, and like even like you could have communal work with that. Like you could have people doing different layers and stuff like that. I don't, it's like, that's a groovy thing. And I never would have thought about it before. It was very cool. What else? I think that's it. My notes are literally, dude, you can screen print anything. It's so true. So fun. So anyway, that was enjoyable. Now I should probably talk about yarn stuff, huh? Okay. I don't have a ton of knitting this time, but I did want to share with you. Just today, Knitspin Farm posted that there is going to be, well, that there is a new pattern on Knitty, which I sometimes forget exists. Isn't that weird? Like Knitty was like the jam. It was like such a great place, and I just don't think about Knitty very often anymore. But there's this pattern called Knit Loops by Amelia Archer, and it's featuring Joanna's yarn. But I am so excited to try this technique. Are you ready to hear? These socks are knit in the basic cuff down vanilla style, cuff like heel, foot, toe, with the simple addition of creating short loops that are knit vertically. After the first set of loops are almost complete, a new set of loops are created offset from the original loops. So I'm thinking, I think that's such a great idea. Why did I not think about that? Kudos, Amelia Archer. And they go on to say that like this is a great, like you can use whatever sock you like. This is basically just like a frosting. You know, you use whatever sock pattern that you dig, and then you can just use this technique to, you know, punch it up here and there. Isn't that fun? I'm really excited. So yeah, you're just like making these long loops that you're just gonna then like knit. Oh, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see how it happens. I'm always very jazzed to have like a new sock technique, because it just helps like boring socks. Because I mean, I'm the worst, and I'm now to the point where I'm like, oh, even self-striping is not enough to keep me excited. No. But speaking of new techniques, oh my gosh, look at all of these segues that I did not plan at all. Speaking of new techniques, the beautiful, and I meant to ask you, Jana, if you're a Shanna or a Shayna, and I'm sorry, I think you're a Shayna, right? Cohen. She has a new pattern out called the Split Decision. It's not out yet, sorry. It's in testing, but it will be out soon. It's called the Split Decision hat, and I am excited. I did test it for it. She said we could share. Okay. So there's different sizes. There's like 4 or 5 different sizes. And then you can make a short version or a tall version. I love a slouchy hat, so I made a tall version. And, okay, I have a bun in, but, okay, so I would just wear it slouchy, but now I'm very cute with my cone head too. Okay, if you want your really tall hat to be super tall, just wear a bun. And then you're like, I'm ready to go. But speaking of closer design, how fun is this? You start this way, right? So this is the hat I started with. So you get to knit garter flat. And then, oh, this would be more dramatic if I didn't have a bun in. Bam. Okay, it looks much cuter when it's like slouched on my head correctly and I'm not wearing a bun like a fool. Okay, I'm going to just show you the picture I took. How vain is it to be like, this is a podcast of me talking. I'm also going to show you a picture of me because there's just not enough me happening. So true. But whatever. When it's slouchy, it's much more charming than when I have, actually when it's even when it's sticking up, but it's like not sticking up over my bun, it's much more charming. Okay. But like, it's very cute. And it's so fun. See, there it is. And you can see it's kind of like slouchy in the back. How fun is that? So it's written for DK wool, or DK yarn, excuse me. Or fingering weight held double. And that's what I did because I just used all scraps. How fun. So like, I actually ended up making like 2 hats by accident. I was like, when I laid these yarns out, I thought they looked like they were kind of fun together. But it does just kind of look like I made 2 different hats, which I'm totally fine with. I have no idea what any of this is. This is Knit Spin Farm self-striping held double. And I kind of tried to match it up, but you can see there's places where it kind of overlapped more. And then I also striped in a couple rows of like purple. See, this is not part of the original Knit Spin Farm because I knew I didn't have enough to get through the full side. And in fact, see, I cheated up here and just threw some random slightly closed thing in. Whatever, I don't care. Because this is my radish yarn from Knit Spin Farm and it's been precious stash. Like, you know, it's leftovers from socks. So it's been held in precious stash forever. And so I finally used it. But I also love this color combo. Like, I feel kind of brilliant. I'm not going to lie. This might need to be my new jam. Yeah. Right. I love it. And I know it's too early to say because I've only worn it like a couple times, but this might be in the running for my Ricky hat. It's like all the wonderful thing about garter stitch, except you get a little bit more elasticity because you have this vertical garter stitch happening here, which sort of acts as almost like a ribbing. And you can do whatever you want in terms, you can make it solid. You don't have to make it funny, like woochy woochy. That's clearly a word. But because it has like an interesting yet not challenging construction, it's much more engaging than a Ricky, which is just garter in the round, which even when you throw up doing no purl garter in the round is still a lot of garter in the round. So, right? So I'm very excited about that. I don't know when the pattern's coming out, but I'm sure it'll be soon. And again, it will be called, did I tell you? I did tell you. I'm just going to tell you again. It'll be called Split Decision Hat. Fruit Loops, Split Decision. This is the yarn I think I'm going to use for that Fruit Loop sock. So Knit Spin Farm is totally having a knit along. I didn't tell you that. This is her Tarhi fingering, which is, yeah, it's my favorite. Tarhi Sport is a close second, but Tarhi finger. I love a Coriodale too, but I just love the meaty Tarhi. Oh my gosh, and then we could go to Tarhi Forest if we went to Montana. Like we could go to a forest named after a sheep. It's the other way around, but whatever. One of my favorites. So this one is Crossword Puzzle Day, and so it's pencil. And so I'm not a crossword person, but I am a huge pencil fan. Like, I can see 4 pencils from where I'm sitting. I'm not even looking very hard. That's without moving anything. Anyway. Okay, so that's that. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, so then I did do some more work on my super awesome hat from Olga Jazzy Knits that I am knitting with another crafty girl, held along with a mohair silk single. So this is my another crafty girl. It's one of her, it's a Kermit colorway. This is Sport. And then this is Webb's Southampton. And so like, doesn't it make the prettiest little fabric? Ooh! You might see some places where I didn't catch the mohair single. And of course, now that I tell you that, I may have tucked them all back in. But that happens. It's very easy. You just pop it back to the other side. It's fine. It's very easy when you're knitting with 2 strands to miss one. I love it. I didn't knit a ton on this just because I enjoyed it so much that I was just enjoying it. And I didn't want to blow through it. Also, I'm about to do the cabling and I was like, not in the right headspace to do the fancy cabling. Right. So that is, I want to say it's Neji, but no. Yes. And I'm making the long version. So last time I made the short version. And now I'm making the long version. Isn't it so cute? Also, she is cute a human as she is in that picture. I mean, like in her human self. Not just in her physical self, but in her human self. She's darling. And also brilliant. One of my favorite combinations. So then I did knit some more. Oh my gosh, I totally had a dream about this yarn the other night. I just realized I had a dream about this yarn, which is very silly, but whatever. This is the Reunion Cardigan, and that is a pattern by Brienne Moody. And it's just a top-down raglan with a garter front. It's nothing fancy, y'all. But this is Knit Picks cotton fluffy yarn. And it is... Why is it so soft? Every time I touch it, I'm like, what is that? Like, I never think of cotton yarn as being soft. It's always like ropier dish cotton. I mean, at least that's what I've had. Or it's always very strandy. You know what I mean? Like, usually if you have a cotton yarn, there are single ply cotton yarns that are fat lumpies. But most of the time, your cotton yarns are lots of strands. And so they tend to have a much more ropey consistency. Even like when they're fancy. Like, that's just like that. Lots of strands, to me, kind of has that consistency. But this nonsense is amazing. This like Wonder Fluff or whatever it is both ridiculous and glorious. And I have no idea how it's going to wear. But I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's great. It's one of those yarns that's the newish yarn where you have like a tube that's created with a fiber, and then fiber is this, and I think it's nylon in this case, and then fiber is blown into it like a fluffy cloud. And I've knit with wool yarns that are like that, and they're very enjoyable. But this cotton one is so enjoyable too. Very excited about it. I'm still not 100% sold on this color, but it is a good alternative to other things that I own. Go ahead. You can go ahead and touch it. It's real soft. It's real soft. So I'm not quite to the arm split, but I'm getting there. And I think this is just like 2 skeins so far. Yeah. Okay, I just started the 3rd skein, from what I can tell. And that's the other great thing about it is it's pretty good value. And cotton yarns usually are more affordable than their animal fiber counterparts. But it is a very good value as well, which is highly enjoyable. And then the last thing I'll show you, just very briefly, is I am going to start knitting a granny go round jumper. I am very excited about it. And so I finally have gotten my color scheme going, and it's Blue Sky Fibers. It's not a sweater that's going to be for me. I think you'll see when I hold it up to you. You'll be like, oh yeah, that's probably not for you. How fun is that going to be to make? Now, I think I need to go down a hook size, but it is a crochet granny Like, it's just, like, if you looked at it from the sky, it might kind of look like a granny square. But I've been wanting to crochet it because it looks so fun to crochet. But I was also like, I have so many other things to do. That's not true. I have other things that I am crocheting. And so, but I really wanted to make it, but I didn't have exactly what I wanted for myself for yarn. And so I was like, I just want to make it. I don't even need to own it. I just want to make it. I probably am going to make another one for me though, because look how fun that is. So enjoyable. So that is also a DK fiber. That's also a DK sweater. And so Blue Sky Fibers wool stock is worsted. But you know, it's in the neighborhood. It's fine. It's totally fine. And I think that's all. That's all. So I am still working on big fancy bags for y'all. They are going out as they get finished. Those are going. And then, so I don't have another update scheduled yet. There will be one fairly soon, because I have some really cute gardeny and like planty kind of vibe fabrics. But they will probably be mostly the traditional styles. And then I'll work out when I'm going to do another big fancy. I have one fabric that I really think I would like to do with it, but we'll see. So yeah, those will be coming up. See, this is the middle of April. It'll probably be like I imagine it'll be like the first Friday of May. I'm just going to say it. It'll be, oh, what have I done? Okay, it's going to be the second Friday of May is when I'll probably have another update. I'm writing it down to keep myself honest. So probably it'll be the second Friday of May. I'll have another shop update and I'll have lots of fun, sort of more summer vibe, or again, like more, there's some really great moths that I have. There's a really great gardening fabric that I have. And so I'm really excited about all those options. Somebody asked the other day about, well, I've had several people ask, but, about sock size bags, and I just don't do them as often anymore because there's not as much call for them. I think kind of my niche is bigger bags, and that like you can get smaller bags, and there's more options. There's more places to find smaller bags, sock size bags. But this update might have a few in it because I do have some more summery fabrics that would work out well for a sock size bag. So we'll see, man. Things are just rolling. If I'm not here next time, it's because I'm in Montana. Oh, goodness. So I didn't talk about Paula Emmons-Feasley, who was the host of the Knitting Pipeline podcast and who was just such a lovely human. And I don't really want to talk about her because I'm afraid I'll be blubbery. But she was such a lovely human to everyone and provided such an example of so many characteristics that I really admire. But beyond even that, she was one of the very earliest supporters of me in podcasting, which is amazing because if you've listened to her podcast and you've listened to mine, you might think that she would think I was the hottest of all messes. But she was very supportive of me in my early podcasting, and that held such great weight for me. And I am so appreciative of it. And so I hope that not for this week, because that's too much of a hope. But I hope that if you have a Paula, if you have someone that you're not close to, like that you don't, that, you know, you may see once a year if you're lucky, and you may only get to see them for 15 minutes at that once a year. But I hope that you can have a Paula. I don't even want to say that I hope you'll appreciate her, because I know you will. And I don't want to say that, you know, I just hope that you have a Paula somewhere, or that a Paula is coming to you, or that you can find a Paula, because that would be a very good blessing indeed. Thanks so much for visiting with me. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.